The Vice Guide to North Korea is a 2008 documentary created by edgy youth media agency Vice. The documentary runs for 1 hour and stars Vice co-founder and CEO Shane Smith as he enters communist North Korea through China to showcase what truly happens inside the hermit nation. The aim of this presentation is to provide an analysis of the Vice Guide to North Korea in relation to the type of mode, style, and form that makes the documentary unique. It will identify and discuss examples of documentary modes and will give insightful understandings of theatrical context of documentary form. Vice is a US-Canadian digital media and broadcasting company that takes a fearless approach to storytelling global issues that have been overlooked by traditional media. Focused on anti-government rebellions and hotbeds of terrorist activity, Vice uses a unique documentary style in communicating a perspective to events that are shaping our future. Vice announced in June 2016 that they are now valued at almost $4.5 billion due to their expansion to over 50 countries and the number of large-scale investments. Vice is known for entering high-risk countries to gain insight and expose what is really happening, and their mission to enter North Korea was no exception. For decades, North Korea has been one of the world's most secretive societies, and it is one of the few countries still under total authorization communist rule. Their state-controlled and leadership-dependent system of government has kept them isolated from the rest of the world. North Korea is known to be one of the hardest countries for foreign media to cover, as their TV and radio sets inside are pre-tuned to government stations that stream propaganda, forcing their people to worship their leader, Kim Jong-un. They also have nuclear weapons that serve as a deterrent to anyone thinking to invading them. CEO of Vice, Shane Smith, explained getting into North Korea was one of the hardest processes Vice has ever had to deal with. After a year and a half of trying to get in through their representatives, they finally were allowed to enter as tourists after bribing their way in. Consequently, they were taken on a tour set up by the government, rather than reporting something that hasn't ever been seen by any tourist who's entered North Korea before. The filmmakers used a participatory mode of documentary to drive the narrative of exposing the unfamiliar territory in North Korea. This is predominantly seen through the film's content and Vice's documentary style. Vice adopts many techniques of contemporary documentary, but predominantly uses the participatory mode. This theory of contemporary documentary modes was first developed by American film critic Bill Nichols and seeks to distinguish particular traits and conventions of various documentary film styles. The participatory mode is described by Nichols as when the filmmaker interacts with their social actors and participates in shaping what happens before the camera. It consists of direct engagement between the filmmaker and its subject as it becomes part of the events being recorded. Participatory mode is often described as the style that holds the most truth, as it allows for observation and engagement, giving the viewer an experience close to what it would be like for the makers in that given situation and how the situation alters as a result. Shane Smith effectively engages with many of the subjects in the film, giving the audience the unique perspective of his experience in North Korea. This does, however, only allow Smith's views to be heard and understood, creating a biased negative opinion on the country. Participatory mode requires many interviews, as they are the most important element of the investigation and serve as a foundation for the mode, as well as a credible source of the film's subject. Smith often speaks directly to the camera and explains what is happening in that moment. This is a prime example of how he uses participatory mode in this documentary.
On the way here, there's a big poster that says, "The way to peace is on the point of a bayonet."
And, you know, all the North Koreans are brought here. So you're sort of sitting there as the only Caucasian going, oh, good, as everyone's staring at you with daggers. And you're just sitting there going, okay, great, I get it. There's going to be a lot more of this.
They've just heard about how bad we are. So I don't know if they like us very much.
Moments between the filmmakers and the subject's relationship become more apparent in this mode, as it leads to a clearer understanding of the relationship with the film's issues. Another mode of contemporary documentary that is found in the Vice Guide to North Korea is performative. The performative mode is identified as being subjective, with an emotional intensity or uniqueness of vision that is recorded to express the filmmaker's personal vision or to enhance the narrative. This can be seen throughout the documentary when Smith becomes the subject of the film when he is taken to a tea shop in the middle of nowhere by his tour guide, where he is greeted by a Korean woman who offers him tea or coffee. When Smith realizes this woman has not seen someone for 10 months, they play a game of pool and table tennis together, creating a relationship between the filmmaker and the subject to enhance the narrative.
What's her name?
Shane.
What's her name?
Shane.
Shane?
Shane.
Pyongyang-shi.
Bunyoung-shi.
Yes.
Bunyoung-shi.
The content covered in the Vice Guide to North Korea effectively encourages the audience to question the country's use of propaganda while also gaining a deeper understanding of the hostility between North Korea and the rest of the world. The opening scene of the documentary consists of real footage of North Korea propaganda inside Kim Jong-il Square with thousands of Korean military worshipping their leader. This creates the mood of the overwhelming lifestyle North Korean citizens are exposed to. The documentary then goes on to show a combination of interviews, archival footage, and animation with narration to create the form of the documentary. The Vice Guide to North Korea is a perfect example of the controversial style of documentaries Vice is known for. Their unique style of pushing the boundaries when explaining the truth is evident in this film, as the filmmakers are aware of the penalties they face if they are caught documenting their experience in North Korea. This style creates an exhilarating story as the audience is made to feel themselves are in that situation, which is why Vice is now a worldwide successful medium.
We're going to North Korea, and with the express purpose of shooting, which you're not allowed to do, with the express purpose of making a documentary, which you're not allowed to do. This is terrifying. So from the first minute I got there, I was shit scared.
Overall, the Vice Guide to North Korea adequately demonstrates the documentary modes of participatory and performative through its unique style and form. These modes perfectly suit the aim of the documentary as it has been produced with different modes. As if it had been produced with different modes of documentary, it would not have been told the story of Korea as accurately.